Calling all stations. Calling all stations. Calling all stations. This is KK4CTV. My name is Charles. I'm going to be your alternate net control station this evening for the Carroll County ARES Incom net. KI4QLV, his name's Lee. He is going to be your net control station this evening, and he'll be on shortly. This net meets every Thursday night at 8 p.m. local time on the W4FWD repeater on 146.640 megahertz with a negative offset and a 131.8 hertz subaudible tone. When checking into this net, say this is. Unkey the mic to make sure that you're not doubling with another station. If you not hear anyone else talking, proceed to give your call sign, first phonetically and then normally, along with your name, your location, and if you have any comments, announcements, or traffic for the net. The purpose of this net is to provide training and information to all the ham operators in the club that want to participate as it relates to emergency communications and providing communications assistance to various local, state, national public service agencies in addition to our civilian population in the event of an actual emergency. And at this time, I will be turning the net over to KI4QLV, so take it away, Lee.
Thanks, Charles. First, anytime during the net, if there's any emergency or priority traffic, key up and say break twice, as in break, break, and the frequency would be turned over to you for the duration of the emergency. Now, is there any emergency or priority traffic? Please come now. Hearing none, is there any NTS routine traffic to be passed? Please come now. Okay, is there any mobile or portable stations? Please come now. I'll ask again, is there any mobile or portable stations? Please come now.
This is Kilo Victor 4 Tango Echo, KV4TE, Jason Villareca, portable.
Recognizing KV4TE, Brother Jason out of Villareca being portable tonight. Thank you, Jason. Back to net.
Okay, now, is there any Alpha, November, or Whiskey stations? Please come now.
This is Whiskey Delta 8 Lima Quebec Tango, WD8LQT John Fairfield.
This is November 4 Bravo Whiskey Romeo N4 BWR Blake and Carrollton.
This is Whiskey X-Ray 4 Bravo Kilo WX4 BK Brian and Temple.
Recognize WD8LQT John out of Fairfield, N4 BWR Blake out of Carrollton, WX4 BK Brian out of Temple. Back to net.
Is there any more Alpha, November, or Whiskey stations? Please come now.
This is November 4 Charlie India Papa, N4 CIP, Scott and Douglas County.
CIP, Mr. Scott out of Douglas County. Back to net.
Okay, now, is there any kilo stations? Please come now. This is Kilo Charlie 4, Hotel November X-Ray, KC4HNX, name is Roger, Douglasville.
This is Kilo Echo 4, Oscar Bravo Echo, KE4OBE. This is Mike, and I'm in Carrollton. Good evening, Lee. Good evening, Charles, and to the net. Over.
This is K4KJ, Kilo 4, Kilo Juliet, Paul, Southwest Douglas County. Good evening, everyone.
This is KM4 KRG.
Okay, let me jump in here real quick. I want to recognize KC4HNX, Roger out of Douglasville, and KE4OBE, Brother Mike out of Carrollton. Paul out of Douglas County. K4, could you come back with the rest of your call sign a little bit slower for me? I'm a little old and I need to catch it.
Yes, sir. Kilo 4, Kilo Juliet, K4KJ. Kudos for King Jesus.
Gotcha. Thank you very much, Paul. Sorry about not catching it. And then I have KM4 KRG, Brother Andrew out of Buchanan. Back to net.
Charles, I'm on the phone. Can you take the net?
What, Lee?
Got a phone call. Can you take the net?
Absolutely. Is there any other kilo stations out there wishing to check in? If so, please call net control at this time.
Scott from Carrollton.
That last station, you were just really garbled up. I couldn't hear you. Could you try one more time, sir?
Kilo November 4, Charlie, Kilo Romeo, KN4 CKR, Scott from Carrollton.
Okay, KM4 CKR for Scott. Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
Roger, Roger. Thank you so much, Scott, for checking in tonight. Is there any other kilo? In fact, I'm going to open it up. Any call sign, any prefix out there wishing to check in to tonight's Incom net, please call net control now.
This
Mike and Kay in Tallapoosa, Georgia. Good evening to the net.
This is Kilo Juliet 4 Oscar Delta Uniform, KJ4ODU. Carroll, I'm in Carrollton. Just turned it on.
Okie dokie, let me recognize KM4WJG Mike, and then KM4 WJI, it's K, and then KJ4ODU Terrell out of Carroll now. Any other check-ins, please call net control now. Okay, this is KK4CTV and KI4QLV on the W4FWD repeater. All right, we're going to this time turn this whole net over to our training by WX4BK. So at this time, WX4BK, I'm going to turn the net over to you, sir.
This is WX4BK. Thank you, Charles. Before I go on, how am I hitting the repeater? Am I hitting it solid?
Yes, sir. Coming in nice and clear.
Okay, it was a slightly different location. I wanted to make sure it wasn't affecting the signal. All right, many of you have gotten an email from me today asking that you fill out an online form. Several already have, and I very much appreciate those who have. This is a result of trying to sort of get a handle on what level of training the various members have, especially since we've been pushing for people to take the FEMA and Skywarn courses. And all of this is because we now live in the post-9/11, post-Katrina world, where the federal government and state agencies are requiring not just their own people, but the non-governmental organizations and volunteers that work with them to have some minimal training standards that they meet in order to participate in an emergency response. Now, at our level, it's not extensive, but they want us to have enough knowledge to sort of understand the command structure that we would be working in when we show up to volunteer. Help us know how to conduct ourselves with the professionals, the hired guns, so to speak, who are the first responders that are running the show. So, in any case, after 9/11 and Katrina, it became apparent that training was going to be required, and as they have professionalized their operations, it's been made pretty clear that those without training will probably be bystanders. However, ARES does have a variety of levels for volunteer to operate, even without training beyond the amateur radio licensing. However, as I said, you're unlikely to be used by a served agency without taking some additional training. For instance, even the National Weather Service desires warm spotters participate in their classes and requires that they have completed Skywarn training to utilize some of their online reporting systems. Likewise, one of our served agencies, Tanner Hospital, and others around the country require certain training be completed before operators can participate as part of their emergency communications systems. And you can be sure without at least a couple of FEMA courses, virtually no served agency is liable to utilize a volunteer. Because of those requirements they now have, and because quite frankly the training is pretty simple, it's a lot simpler than the technician license test, we're going to do what we can do to encourage folks to pick up some of those certifications. The primary ones, as you've heard me harp on before, are the FEMA courses. The Federal Emergency Management Agency provides a wide range of online study courses that you can take at your own pace and essentially take an open book test at the end. I've talked about this in the past, and we'll talk about it again in the future. I'll also send another email out tomorrow that will have the links for those to sign up to get their student ID and to take the online courses. And I can tell you a bunch of our folks have done it. I helped a couple of one-day training classes for two of the FEMA courses, and folks, we went in, gave them, I think maybe about an hour and a half, 2 hours of training, and the open book test followed, and really only offered once every couple of years in most counties. We can, however, assist you in locating classes in surrounding counties. Skywarn is essentially an evening presentation presented by the National Weather Service, and at the end you are certified as a storm spotter. And as I mentioned earlier, we have an arrangement with Tanner Medical Center to provide MCOM team for them, and they actually require the volunteers take 4 of these FEMA courses, 100, 200, 700, and 800. And by the way, those are the common ones virtually everybody wants you to have. 100 and 200 is usually a minimum, 700 and 800 a little more elaborate. The hospital, in addition, requires that we take an orientation class, a TB test, and get an annual flu shot, which they pay for. And finally, another entity that we would hopefully be serving in the future, and certainly have ARES groups in other areas serve, is the local county EMA. And while we have no formal arrangement, almost universally counties require at least IS 100, 200, either IS 700. Let me start that over again. Almost universally, counties require at least IS 100 and either IS 200 or 700 to be deployed. In many cases, they also require the same ones as the hospital, 100, 200, 700, and 800. Whew. That's getting complex even for me. I'll be sending an email out. Now, the reason for all this is obvious. It's important that those involved in emergency operations have demonstrated competency before the actual deployment. Likewise, we've got to do the same thing. As a result, we're going to create some levels of certification in order to better prepare people. Licensed operators with no additional training may join ARES, but it is unlikely that they would be used in an actual MCOM deployment. It is hoped in the future we'll be involved in public service events like bike and foot races at checkpoints, and those volunteers will certainly be needed and utilized for these. In order to be a certified net control station for in actual activation, such as Skywarn or activation by the EMA, we're asking for volunteers to take the Skywarn as well as the FEMA IS 100 and IS 200 courses, and have served as a net control station at least twice during a year. Now, we may change that to be just once, but the idea is that you could serve as a net control station either for the a county club net like the WGARS net, or with prior arrangements serve as a net control station for this ARES net. We're also all asking who are interested in storm spotting to take an online course or preferably sit through the National Weather Service's Skywarn class. Now, in order for me to figure out who's achieved what, I'm working on building a database of those who wish to be involved in ARES and of what equipment, operating capabilities, and certifications the operator has. And I've built a form. You can go to wx4bk.com and fill it out. Just when you get there, you'll see a Join ARES on the menu. Click it. Don't be intimidated by the number of unchecked boxes you will probably have on that form, because many of us specialize in certain areas of amateur radio and don't participate in other areas. But I have to ask all the questions because I have no idea what an individual might be working in. So there's a lot of check boxes on there, and again, I expect that almost all of us leave a fair number of them unchecked. Down the road, you will have the ability to log in and edit those settings. So as you pass more courses, you can update the record or pass the information to me, and I can update it for you. And that'll help us know who's deployable and where. More to come on all this. I appreciate those who have been participating. Looking forward to some now maybe jumping in and participating as net control now and again. And speaking of net control, I'm going to hand it back over to Charles to take late check-ins and then take it back to the round table, or maybe check to see if Lee's back to pick it up. This is WX4BK, back to net.
Thank you, WX4BK. I want to, this is KK4CTV and KI4QLV on the W4FWD repeater. And at this time, is there any other stations out there
go to roundtable with WX4BK.
This is WX4BK again. Thank you, Charles and Lee. As I said, folks, this is largely due trying to push this, especially collecting the data on what people have achieved, is all the results of the requirements that are getting sent down to us from ARES through GEMA and through FEMA. So look forward to those who can participate, to those who maybe don't want to go to that extent. As I said, ARES members can still be participating in local community events without taking some of the FEMA courses, but we really need some trained up people. With that, I'm going to open the floor for any questions or comments regarding tonight's presentation or any other information for the good of the cause. If you've got anything, please call now.
And 4BWR.
And 4BWR, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I just had a question about your online form there. You said something about in the future being able to edit that later. Is that not able to be edited and added onto by us at this time? Because number one, I don't remember when I filled it out today if I even saw Skywarn to check, so I'm not sure if I checked that I have Skywarn. And also at the end of this month, I'm starting the ARRL MCOM course, so later this summer I will have that to add.
Yeah, technically, I'm still working out how I'm going to do that. The only way to really edit it now would be to just refill it all in again and submit it again, and it would replace the existing record with the new one. There is a requirement from the state ARES people that I actually certify the training courses that people say they have. So I'm trying to decide on that aspect of it how I'm going to handle it. If I let y'all update it and then just ask you to email me a copy of your certificate, or whether or not I'm going to have that user editable. I'm having to work a couple of things out yet in order to comply with how the state ARES folks want that done. So I guess the answer is yes, it's editable, and that if you go back and fill it all back in again and resubmit it, it'll overlay the existing one. I went ahead and updated yours with Skywarn. I had just added that right about the time you were filling it out, and I knew you already had it, so that's taken care of for you at the moment. And hopefully by the time you get done with that course, we'll have the details of updating that information worked out. Let's see if I got it. Okay, anybody else with questions, comments, or any other information for the good of the cause, please call now.
Yeah, for QLB, did you update me with Skywarn?
Yes, sir, I did. I think there's maybe 3 of them that came in without the Skywarn tag, but I recognized all of them as having taken the Skywarn course, so that was an easy one to rectify. I didn't think about the Skywarn until a little bit later and added it on. You guys were quick to the gun. Thank you, by the way, for filling those out. And I think somebody doubled with KI4QLV, so that other station, if you want to call out, call now.
Yeah, this is KK4CTV, Brian. Are you just requesting us to tell you which certificates we have, or do you want an actual picture of these, or send them to you, or what?
Some of y'all, I've already seen them. In other cases, I am. In the future, they're basically going to have to, when you get that email copy generated, when you get that link emailed to you, you can forward that email to me, and all I got to do is click on the link and see that is there, and that'll do it. During this interim period, while I'm catching up with what's already been done, I may request, I'll probably just do spot checks requesting people send me copies of their certificates. But I'll be contacting people individually when I'm looking for that. Does that kind of answer the question? good question. Believe it or not, the state doesn't have any guidance on that at all. And the National Weather Service doesn't demand it. They just recommend it. So I'm going to go, I think what I'm going to do, I'm thinking what we're going to do is basically, if you hit every other county-run Skywarn course, you're good. And that would make you good till the next one. Because there was the last one that you missed, the one before that you did hit. So it's probably going to be that. It's probably going to be at least every other county Skywarn course, which would mean you could go normally 4 years. Because the county skipped a year, it would be 5 years. So you're covered, and anybody else out there, if you've been to a Skywarn, if you've been to the counties, if you missed the most recent one, but you've been to the county's prior Skywarn class, we're going to count that. That's, again, there's no state guidance, and so I'm just going to make that rule up as a way to deal with it, because every once in a while it's going to happen. Folks are going to miss something, so I think we're good on that. Plus, quite frankly, you've been involved in enough weather nets. I don't think you've had a chance to get rusty. Does that answer your question, and do you have anything else?
No, sir, I'm good. It's all back to you now, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Anybody with any questions or comments related to tonight's topic or other information for the good of the cause, please call now. Okay. Well, I appreciate it, folks. As you have gathered, even I'm going through a little bit of a learning curve on how to implement some of this stuff. So bear with me as we work our way through it. I do appreciate it, and everyone's attendance tonight. And with that, I'll hand it back over to Net Control to wrap things up for the evening. This is WX4BK, back to Net.
Is there any late check-ins? Please come now. Here none. I'm going to close the net at 8:29. How many check-ins, Charles?
Got 18 tonight, Lee.
Thanks, Charles. I want to thank Charles, Gina, and I want to thank Tim Jones for the use of the repeater, and Charles and Gina for his valuable help, and I want to thank each one of you for your check-ins. This is KI4QLV, and I'm turning the repeater back to normal amateur use. 7-3, everyone.